Hello, everyone. My name is Reinaldo Normand. I'm the co-founder at New Ventures, and today, welcome to the Niucast, the podcast that brings the tech news from the rest of the world to Brazil and the news from Brazil to the rest of the world. My guest today is Ludmilla Figueiredo.
Yes.
We are here in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, and we are going to talk about the local market, startups, and a lot more. Welcome.
Thank you, Ray. Very happy to be here.
Thank you. So, can you introduce yourself very quickly, what you have done and what are you doing here in the Middle East?
Right. So my trajectory is a bit long. I will start from the day that I came to Dubai, which was in 2011. I used to work at Endeavor in Brazil. We were doing very well, and there was an opportunity to come here to understand what we would do for Endeavor in this market. If we would just provide support to entrepreneurs, or if we would find them on the ground and be hands-on with all the strategic advice, mentorship, and following their journeys. I worked in oil and gas, in SaaS, in investments with fintechs, content creation in Arabic, although I speak very little Arabic. Had my company in 2017 because I really felt the need of doing something for myself. And at that time, what I was doing is let me bridge Brazil and the Middle East. But it was really, the bridge was not very strong, especially for tech. So chicken and sugar, they all knew about Brazil, but technology, ecosystem, it was really, really early.
Yeah, Brazil also was not very strong at that time, right?
Yeah. And then there was an opportunity for me to join the federal government of Brazil, the trade agency. I had a position for investment attraction. That was brand new for them as well. And I got selected. So to me, that was, okay, wow, from entrepreneur to going to a governmental role. That was a big decision that I had to take, but I had to be very fair to myself, right? And I had a moment to think, okay, do I want to make money and sustain a consultancy and keep going small, or do I want to have an impact related to why I started a company, the whole purpose of making this bridge happen? So that was a major contribution to this bridge when it comes to tech. So I'm very happy for that. And even when I left, this project continued growing. So, that shows the validation of everything all the vision that we had long term. And I also traveled the region to talk to sovereign wealth funds, to family offices, to the tech ecosystem from the funding perspective, because I was the senior investment officer in Apex Brazil for this region. And then I had investment outflows and inflows had, contributing to this flow of money. So since that time until today, I have a company called Global Markets. We provide global access, global funding facilitation, global market entry. And if I have to summarize what we do really, is curation. Curation of people, curation of markets, curation of opportunities. We build case studies, right? We want to have more successful stories, and curation plays a key role on that.
I can vouch for that because we had a very good week here with you, great people. And I want to start asking you, what's the biggest misconception about UAE and also the region? Because we in Brazil, despite having a very large population of descendants of Arab people, mostly Lebanese, we have Syrians, we have all kinds of people from the Middle East. We still don't know much.
Yeah.
We tend to stereotype a lot this region. What can you tell the audience about this region that they don't know it's true or they don't expect it to be true?
I'll give you two very clear profiles that I see all the time. One of them, people that don't know this culture, they have misconceptions based on what they see in the media. Although it's a lot more streamlined nowadays, but still, many people are discovering this region for the first time. I see that across the globe, not only in Latam. So there are many people that they are afraid of coming here, the same way that people that don't know Brazil are afraid of going to Brazil, things like that. But there is also the second profile that I see all the time is people that already traveled here once, twice, 3 times for business, for tourism, and they see the dollar sign everywhere. And they believe that becoming friends with the sheikh or, coming here because everything is luxury, they're gonna hit the jackpot, right? And we know it's not like that. We need solutions that will develop this market. We want to connect on an authentic basis, let's say. And money is floating here, but the access, you need to build it. You need to carve it out.
You need to earn it.
You need to earn it, exactly. And to be honest, I hear this from, like, this is the feedback from local people here. They do have money, but they say, like, people come to us, they see dollar signs, and we want to build stuff. So I think that this is a misconception. Like, you should not be coming here for money, although money is part of what you can do and you can benefit from, and you need this in part of your journey as scaling a company. But your primary reason to come here is to really understand, really see if there is potential for what you're building and, solve real problems.
Sure. And yeah, I mean, that's what I felt actually this week here. It's very different from the times I came as a tourist, right? We talk to real people, very sophisticated people, which we don't think we will find. We think we will find just the people with money, but they're very, very sophisticated, very international, even the locals. We started with Fund 1 investing in Brazilian startups. And on Fund 2, we want to go more global. The reason I'm here and I'm doing a trip for 10 countries and 20 cities is to understand better the ecosystem so we can figure out if there is an opportunity for the startups in Brazil to come here, the tech startups specifically, and vice versa. Right? If there's an opportunity for the local startups or international startups based out of here in Dubai to come to Brazil. And how do you see the development of the ecosystem here today compared to Brazil?
Compared to Brazil?
Yeah.
Specifically to Brazil, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I see that this ecosystem has a lot more infrastructure, so that helps entrepreneurs. Like in Brazil, you may struggle with Wi-Fi, with the banking system, and here is a lot easier in many different ways, like if we compare. Nothing is perfect, but you do have a digital infrastructure that is really well developed.
Mm-hmm. First
mobile
class.
Penetration, internet penetration, they are 95 plus easily, percent. So this contributes a lot, not only for entrepreneurs to really have the basic infrastructure to be able to deliver, but also to cater to the consumer market. So definitely, this is one of the key differences. I see that here you exchange a lot more with the whole world.
More
versus
international.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You learn a lot,
Yeah.
And this creates more competition in the market. It's a tough market. It's intense. It's more aggressive, let's say, in a good sense, because things are happening everywhere from everyone, and you need to catch up. So you're constantly updating yourself. You're constantly monitoring what's happening. There's always something new across the world coming here. So it's really intense. You have to really play the game.
So what you're saying is it's more competitive, right?
Very
because you are
competitive.
competing with people from all around the world.
Yeah.
It's like the US in a way.
And they adopt technology. They're very open to new solutions. So it's different that if you are in a domestic market, big or small, but we're talking about Brazil, you're going to be able to bring something that is not happening in that market, but it's happening elsewhere. And you have time to bring it, to deploy it, to build your scene, to make a case. Here, you don't have that luxury. This is a luxury that here you don't have as an entrepreneur, because this market is really fast.
And the consumers here, reminding people that UAE is composed of 7 Emirates, Dubai being the most known, right? But there are a large population outside Dubai as well. The question I want to ask is, are the consumers here as forgiving as they are in Brazil?
No.
Brazilian consumers, I mean, they don't mind too much if the product's not that good, which is good and bad, right? Because in a way, you can experiment more. Here, they are more demanding.
Here, people are sophisticated when it comes to quality. They are used to having things from all over the world, and the best stays here. So the standard is high. Your bar is very high. So if you come all the way from Brazil, regardless if you're going to do something that is very traditional or if you're going to do something disruptive, you do need to provide quality and customer excellence services, and so on and so forth.
Sure. So, I mean, people should not come here just to experiment very cheaply. They should be aware that consumers here will reject their products or services if there is not a very high standard.
Yeah, and many times what I see in Brazil, what happens is if something is not up to the standard that is expected, customer service or the product itself or the service in general, people give excuses. We did it because of something. There's always something else that happened, so you justify, give excuses. Here, you just need to own it and fix it.
Accountability.
Exactly. As simple as that. And I like it.
Yeah, me
Personally,
too.
I like it. And
Raise
that's
the
how
bar.
you... It's okay if mistakes will happen, right? Or eventually, your service may not appeal to somebody or another, whatever. But as long as you fix it, you address that specific need, that specific person, and you're on it, then it's okay.
Okay. This is a small country, 20
Yeah.
times smaller than Brazil. So if someone wants to come here to scale, right? I mean, tech startups by definition, backed by VCs, they need to scale. Of course, they will not be only in the UAE. They need to expand to the region. From what I understand, UAE is a great place to start, exactly because what you said. People here are very demanding, so it's a great start. But what are the possibilities as on the other markets in the region? I've heard that Saudi Arabia is the strongest one in the Gulf region, but also for lower or middle classes, Egypt is a good market as well. How do you see it? Because if they come here, they need to go big. Brazil is big enough for many companies, but here you need to go to other countries. So
yeah, that's a very good question because it's part of my reflection along all these years that I live here. And it's been almost 15 years. So I've seen the UAE particularly positioning itself in different ways. One way of seeing the UAE is like a lab. This is your pilot. When you come to Dubai, as you said, right? So you have out of 7 Emirates, you have 3 very popular ones: Dubai, Abu Dhabi, which is the capital, and Sharjah. It's the 3rd largest emirate and also very buzzy and so on. You come here, you can test. So you're very welcome to come. They have easy infrastructure, easy regulations, ease of doing business in general. So
including in English in the courts.
Everyone speaks English. So Arabic is the official language, but 99% of the people speak English. And you start a conversation in English already. So it's by default. Why? Because you also have a large population of expats. 90% almost of the population is from abroad.
From Dubai or other Emirates as well?
No, this is in the UAE. So
UAE
UAE has 10-11% of local population.
The Emiratis, right?
Yeah, and 89-90% of expats. Yeah.
Basically, it's a
So
country
by
of
default,
immigrants. Right?
Exactly. Everyone talks in English here. That's very easy. And because of that, it's also easy for you to enter this region, to develop your solutions, your products, and so on.
So English is important, guys. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
What are the other markets that people should take into consideration that maybe not be obvious for someone?
So coming
abroad.
here is like a giant lab that you can play, you can test, you can improve, you can adapt, it's like a playground, right? And that gives you the possibility to understand this region a lot more because the region is fragmented. So you have the country, United Arab Emirates, and then you have the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, you have Oman, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain. These are the Gulf countries. Then if you talk about a broader region, you also include North Africa, so Middle East and North Africa, which we call MENA. And then that includes other populous countries such as Egypt, for sure, Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia, and so on and so forth. Usually, when you think of scale, you think of Saudi in the Gulf countries because they have 35 million inhabitants. You also have Egypt that is very populous. And then you have the UAE with about, I think now it must be around 11 million inhabitants as well. But 10 million is usually the number that we use. And definitely you expand to these countries. It's easier when you come to the UAE to expand in the Gulf countries because behavior-wise and culture-wise, they are more similar, although there are differences as well. But it's easy for you to dominate this economic bloc, let's call it this way.
Would be similar to Latin America, right?
Easy. It's never easy, right? But it's more similar to go to these markets. And it's natural that once you're here, once you got into the region through the UAE and you understood it better, then the next step usually is always Saudi Arabia because you have the consumer market and you have similar developments going on.
So, for someone that does not know the region, Saudi Arabia does not look like a country that will consume a lot of tech. But what I've learned here is that actually it's the opposite. They're very tech savvy.
They are.
And they have a very high standards of living, right? So, I mean, they are very, they would be the main country, the Brazil of South America, for instance, right?
Yeah, if you see the top leadership in very big and sophisticated companies here in the UAE and in the region, you always see locals in the top leadership. And that's because they invest in themselves and the government invests in themselves. So you can actually have this perpetuating across the market. You know, this is their country, so they own it. They make sure that it's long lasting for whatever they do.
Which industries do you think there might be opportunities for tech startups from Brazil? My gut feeling this week is I think anything that's related to infrastructure, let's say logistics, fintech, anything that everybody in the region needs to use, not only likes to use because of the population size, which is still small compared to Brazil or Latin America. So what's your opinion on areas, verticals that might be a good fit for startups in Brazil?
From everything that I've seen, what I like kind of like going deeper is in the subsegments of each sector. That could be interesting. Fintech is always going to be a very important sector. Even in Brazil, it is an important sector, and here as well. Here, you have a lot of advancements. So a fintech from Brazil that is coming here, they really need to bring something new that they are not solving here. And I think that over time, it gets more difficult to find a niche or find a space to conquer a space, let's say. But definitely, fintech is one strong sector here. You do have like ag tech, you know, because of food security. Food security and energy security is really important in this region. So anything that is related to alternative solutions for energy and food security in general is more than welcome to come. But that's why I said we need to go deeper, because if you think of ag techs in Brazil, they do cater to large fields of land. You know, it's a different type of agriculture.
Sure.
What we understand about agribusiness is completely different what they understand here. And you have precision agriculture, for instance, that could be suitable for both places because it's needed. But again, precision agriculture here will be more towards vertical farming, will be more robotics, will be technology applied to agriculture that is in labs, not on the field, you know? So you need to find specific segments to be able to make a good match for these opportunities to happen. Besides that, log tech for sure, because, you know, they have if I'm not mistaken, it's the 11th largest port in the world. So you have most of them in China, you have the Singapore port, and then you have the Jebel Ali port here in Dubai, which is one of the largest in the world. And, you know, this country was made of trade, and trade is a big part of it. So solutions that you can automate things, that you can reduce carbon emissions, definitely it's going to be a good promise here.
Yeah, so in a way, expanding to specifically Dubai could be a first step for world domination, because you will be surrounded by people from more than 100 countries, do a lot of networking. It's kind of a mini United States, if you will, in the big cities.
But one thing that I want to go back to your question, when I said that Dubai is a lab or the UAE, at the same time that it is, they are in a completely different economic context nowadays. So I remember that in the beginning, like, please, companies from all over the world, please come. We're super cool. We have opportunities, just come. Nowadays, they are more mature. You know, their maturity curve is more sophisticated. They're growing. They are more sophisticated in general. And for you to come here, the match should be correct. That's why curation plays a key role, because it's not for everybody now. Before it was, but now things have been maturing around.
Before it was kind of the Wild West, where people from all over the world came for opportunities. And now the opportunities are more specific.
And especially what I saw from Brazil, people make a big confusion about it. They mix hospitality, kindness in welcoming people from all over the world with you being able to succeed regardless of your stage of company, your context, and your innovation. So these are two very different things that you need to take into consideration when coming here. But definitely, although you can test, you can adapt, you can pilot from here, you also find mature businesses, mature context for your company to be more solid and more robust here as well.
So two more questions about this topic. If you come to Dubai to expand internationally, not only for the Gulf region or for MENA, which continent would you think, or which region would you think would be a natural continuation of this expansion? What I want to say is the experience here, very international, people from all over the world, would make your life easier in which part of the world, culturally and business-wise? And the second question is, what would be the difference between coming here or to Singapore, for instance, which is another similar city with similar background, which is super powerful as well, more tailored to Asia, I think. But I would love to hear your view on those.
Starting from the second one, you can tell more about Singapore than I do, but I feel from the outside that culturally we are closer, like Latam and Arab region, they're closer culturally than the Asian countries. So that helps a lot. So this is one big difference. I think both markets are good. You need to find what's happening in each market. But if I have to pick one, I would say culture. Now, your second question is about which markets to expand out of. Once you come here, what's next?
Yeah, like,
basically, right?
For instance, because the culture is closer, the English common law, right? And very westernized, I think more than Singapore. Do you think expanding from the UAE to Europe would be a continuation, or expanding to Africa because of some countries speak Arabic and it's closer? It's gut feeling, nobody knows, case by case, but what do you think would be, what do you see actually?
This is the beauty of global expansion. There's no one size fits all. What I see, what I'm going to say now is something that I also would say when companies from Brazil are expanding. Naturally, you expand around where you are, like localization. That's why even the concept of nearshoring became very popular after pandemic, so with conflicts as well. Localization plays a major role in international expansion. So it's easy to see that if you come to the UAE, you expand in the region or you expand in neighboring regions. And here is a strategic hub across the globe because you get 2/3 of the world's population around you. Like if you fly for 8 hours, you cover 2/3 of the population. And then it's easy for you to consider expanding to Southeast Asia, to Africa, Europe, India. Yeah, then I put South Asia and Southeast Asia. Yeah. So definitely that makes sense. The same way that if you are in Brazil, it's easy to consider expanding to Latam, then US, then Europe. So geographically makes sense. But I think that the world is upside down and it won't go back to the normal state as before. So we need to deal with a new world. And to me, that's why I love any topic related to global markets, because you need to go where demand is, where you solve the real issue. And if you consider, let's say, AgTech a few years ago, what is the market or the region or the countries that mostly need solutions in food security? It's this region. It's a desert. It's hard to build anything here, to produce anything here. So definitely you need solutions. They're starving for solutions. But they're not going to wait other markets to be ready to develop their solutions. They go ahead, raise their sleeves, roll their sleeves, and make it happen. So I'm saying this to explain one thing. Nowadays, you need to look at the world as your geographic map and see where your solution can apply and go there. And you have to be an explorer, So if you are enough of an entrepreneur to find solutions and explore the issue that is there and bring something, just do the same for markets,
Yeah. No, and actually it's exactly what I'm doing, right? I'm trying to explore and to understand it better. On the tech entrepreneurial side, so would you recommend just to have a base here for business, or would you recommend to bring developers or hire developers from here if you are building a product?
And that's the $1 million question. What do I think? Every market complains about lack of talent, especially tech talent. We all know this. Yep. So that's across the globe. And definitely there is a lack of talent here. At the same time, there is a gap also in the funding system and, the whole ecosystem. Everyone needs to improve all together. So it happens eventually. It's just the process. The same in Brazil. But what I see here, and this is something I've been discussing with a few entrepreneurs that are coming, that are looking at this market with fresh eyes, which is really cool. You have a working culture here. Because it's not only finding a good talent and paying a reasonable salary or high salary or so on. You need to find a place where you can have a working culture that you can rely on that team. And I think that you can find it here in the UAE.
Because of the diversity, right?
Yeah, because maybe a very high paid salary, like a very talented person from the US will have a very high salary to come here. Understood, that may be a challenge. But you have other markets like Brazil has so many great engineers that they could come here. It would be a big jump for their lifestyle that they have in Brazil, our situation back there.
They will be globalized by force.
Exactly. So that would be a great opportunity, financially stable, and you provide a big challenge that this person will stay. They will feel the sense of belonging, like I'm going to make a big case here.
Yeah, manage a global team,
if the talent that you're recruiting has this mindset, which is a entrepreneur, that's amazing. You come, you change your life, you have better quality of life, and you still can contribute to something big. That, for me, is a killer. It's a very good thing. And along with that, you're bringing engineers to this ecosystem and having more diversity and covering this gap that everyone complains. But yeah, salaries here tend to be higher when you have good talent. Across the globe, you don't find good talent everywhere, so there is a lack anyways. But you do find very good people here, and I think that this working culture is important. Just to explain what I mean by working culture, it's something basic, but if you go to Miami, Florida, people will be tanned. You go to Rio de Janeiro, people will surf before going to work. You go to Spain, people take their siesta. So there are different cultures. Balance too much the quality of life. And it's important. I am an entrepreneur and I've been also a team member of companies. It is important. But you need to, separate things and know when you have to work to contribute to something and when you have to enjoy life. Everything that is balance is good.
What about, we were talking at the beginning about money. Many entrepreneurs, for the wrong reasons, might think, I will expand there because some sheikh or some sovereign fund will fund my company. They think it's easy, etc. What can you say about that? Have you seen companies from abroad, not only from Brazil, but from any country, raising money here? Because my impression is that although there is a lot more money than most of the world, with the exception of China, the US, money is for later stages of companies, right? It's not for earlier stages. And I think that's something that we need to differentiate when expanding. I mean, of course, most startups on the pre-seed or seed stage do not have the resources to expand abroad, starting with Series B, maybe Series A. But my point is, would they find sophisticated VCs or money here that will help their journey? Or they will find only money and maybe this money will not help their journey at all?
By default, when you're talking about scaling, you need to have a little bit of structure in your company. So if you're too early, it's definitely going to be more difficult than what it already is, right? And I think that, again, curation plays a bigger role. Why? Because it's not only about accessing the money, but no strategic value or vice versa. Because there is money here. It's not easy access. They're more later stage and so on and so forth. But it's about having a thesis for this region because this is their focus, right? So they are focusing now in developing this market. They have governmental goals to achieve. It's very clear. So if a solution will do well here and will attract the eyes of angels, VCs, government grants, and so on, it's because you're solving an issue that they care about. And to me, this is the basics. Like if you're going to address a solution to your customer to validate your MVP, you need to understand what your consumer or your client is looking for. If they are not interested in that, in whatever you're solving, then you're not solving anything. The same thing, if you come here with a solution to expand just because it's an attractive market, but you're not really addressing their needs and what is really important for this development here in this market, then you're wasting your time. You may even succeed, but it's going to be very hard. It's going to be painful. And it doesn't need to be painful at this era that we live in. There are easier ways to do things with ethical standards, with professionalism, with a step-by-step that is clear, with milestones. So I feel that many times the match is not well done in terms of what you want to bring, what they really need. And that will impact in funding, for sure.
Yeah, maybe would be a better idea to raise money from Silicon Valley VCs for global expansion and then come. And then when you are larger, some local funds or some local money can complement the round or follow the round.
So I think that you play a very important role here because there are solutions that do match what they need. But because of lack of funding, it's hard to crack the market, right? To tap into the market. So a push of funding coming from abroad, from VCs that already know the markets abroad, that already know the entrepreneurs abroad, is very strategic.
It's just a hub for them to expand.
Yeah, let's say many Brazilian founders. The top ones, the ones that are really, really good at what they're doing. But people here don't. So if they come with a very good solution, but nobody knows them, and this is a market that you need to develop your strong reputation within your network. It's not, and I'm going to say this because it's very overrated nowadays. It's not developing a networking. It's not about relationships. It's about you building your reputation over and over to nurture your relationship with people.
Yeah, and like Y Combinator says, build what people want.
Yeah, because everyone says, oh, this place is for networking, for relationships. It is.
Yeah.
But people come with
that's
any...
that's a means to an end,
hey,
not the
yeah,
end.
exactly. So it doesn't work this way. And I think that's why I believe new ventures play a very important role for founders in other markets to come here or to come in other markets as well.
Yeah, we are trying to connect the ecosystems because most founders think about the US. US is very competitive, too big, and too expensive.
Yeah.
So if you want to go to the US, likely you need a lot of money, like $100 million plus, capital to try to be competitive, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about one last thing is how is it to live here? What people do, what are the advantages, pros and cons? Because if people want to expand, they need to enjoy living here, right? So what are in your opinion, when we talk to some people said to me, education is great. You have this international flavor, which is cool, super safe, right? Infrastructure is top notch, but how is it the day-to-day life? So if you move here, what should expect and what you shouldn't?
When you come for the first time, you want to explore everything that this market has to offer. So, when I came, I was going to every single new spot that was opened. It was very cool. So it was like, okay, so now I'm going to find my own lifestyle that fits well. What is good here is that you can have so many different lifestyles. There's always things to do, regardless if you want to stay more at home, if you want to do something in nature, if you want to go out. So you always find plenty of options to be entertained. All the time. There's always something new to explore. There's always a mall, but there's so many other things. One thing that I always highlight, and we spoke about that in one of our meetings, is what nature really is, right? So there are many people say, I don't go there because I need to enjoy nature. Your nature, your concept of nature is like the trees, Here you have a beautiful landscape in the desert with so many different shades of colors when the sun is setting. The most beautiful sunrises, sunsets, and full moons I've seen here. I don't exchange that for anything. It's like I feel so well when I wake up every day and I see that beautiful orange sunrise. It's like, it's priceless. It's something that money cannot buy. And I'm bringing this here because people need to understand that you have a lot more than just luxury and easy life, and parties, because of course you have parties here.
Yeah, I mean, that's a subset of what you can do here, right? But I think most people think this is actually everything you can do here, which is not true.
Yeah, it's not true.
I have experienced that in this trip. There are a lot of things that you can do that will be interesting to you. There is indoor and outdoor entertainment, and also it's a logistics hub. You can fly from
easy to fly to other markets, to other countries, and explore. And the Crown Prince of Dubai, he's supportive of sports in general. So you have a very good community playing sports around, so many different types of sports.
Even esports.
Yes, everything. So you're not going to get bored here, and you're going to find your own crowd and your own community to do things that you like. But people need to know that. So
now they know.
I hope that this is going to reach everywhere.
Yeah, but cool. So any last words? Anything you want to say that is important for
I think it's important that when we talk about this market, people take their own opinions based on other people's opinions, on what they saw somewhere else. They never came here, or if they came here, they never came with a specific eyes, like you said, right? I come for tourism in Japan many times, but now I'm going with different eyes. And one thing that I learned from an ambassador of Brazil in Kuwait at that time, he said, when you go to a country, you need to taste the country, you need to feel the country, to see it, to listen to the country. And this makes a big difference. Everyone that comes here and they do explore, they do come more as let me learn, as a learner. I think that they fall in love, and I felt that, I don't know if you fall in love, but if you fell in love, but you definitely have a different experience this time compared to other times that you came. And it's beautiful, people here are very nice.
They are.
Very kind people. Besides, being very welcoming as well, but they are warm. Yeah. They are kind. They're happy. They have everything, so they try to contribute with more things that they already have access to. And yeah, I'm very grateful for being here. You know, I told you one time, just even to summarize this conversation. So one lady asked me like, "Why do you like so much, you know, living there?" Very very weird question, a bit suspicious. I felt, and I was reflecting about that. It's not about whatever we have here, access to money, to this, to that. No, it's gratitude, because I learned so much in this country. I like thick skin, you know, like I had challenges, of course, but that made me so much stronger, so much more mature,
You've
so much
grown.
more international, that I feel so good with who I am now. And I'm very grateful for what the country provided me.
And maybe the first way to experience that, besides contacting you for more information, is going to the large conferences that are hosted here. I've heard that are many large conferences happening, and I think people should look up in their area of expertise, because this is a conference country as well.
Yeah, you know, business tourism, what we call, it happens all the time. So you come for a conference, you stay a few days, and they happen every day. So it gives even a FOMO, you know, because you come for a tech conference, but then you hear that 2 months later, there will be another very cool tech conference. And now with Saudi and Qatar also having their own tech conferences, you have to travel around, and that gives you a fear of missing out, which to some extent is good, you know, because it shows the dynamics of the market. Now, this place is based on tourism, is based on flux of people from everywhere. It's a hub, right? So people from all over the world come here to do business, not necessarily in the region, but they meet here to do business globally. So this is very important to understand. You're not coming to the region only, you're coming to do business with the world. And many times you come for a tech conference, the same week is happening the largest exhibition for food and beverage. So if your company crosses both segments, you know, you benefit double from being here as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate your
Thank
time.
you, Ray. Yeah.
And
It's very cool.
see you guys on the next one. Cheers.